Reality sets the stage. With every step, the walls whisper your name. You go to prison, they shackle your dreams, an echo in the dark, or so it seems. Fighting your case with nothing but truth, clenching your fists as you steady your proof. And then they hit you with words like stones. You show no remorse, they carve in your bones. You won't take responsibility, you're not ready. We paint with excuses, keep the truth unsteady. How you gonna take blame for a storm you didn't bring? Like blaming the man who's just caught in the swing. The system don't care about the path you tread, only about boxes and a story well read. A trapdoor's waiting on both sides of this game. Confess to a crime, dance in someone's shame. They're looking for confessions, not justice, not grace. Just a clean little narrative that fits in this space. 20 years in, then 25 more, still saying, I didn't do this, don't they just ignore? Instead of respect, they punish your fight, turning truth into chains, darkness swallowing light. How you gonna take blame for a storm you didn't bring? Like blaming the man who's just caught in the swing. The system don't care about the path you tread, only about boxes and a story well read. This ain't rehabilitation, it's a game they play, trading innocent souls for compliance each day. And here's the truth bared raw like a wound, real remorse for the guilty. That's the tune they croon. But innocent hearts beating inside those cells need their stories to shift away from these hells. Change the definitions, let compassion in, because real justice starts where the truth can begin. Your innocence should never serve as your chain. We hold. You walk through the gates.
Hey, yo. They said Janet came home normal. I said, stop the cap, because the neighbor saw the whole scene. Her behavior wasn't regular. That timeline, nothing about it clean.
People don't pull in, sit 5 minutes, pull back out, park again. Stand outside like they fighting thoughts deep within. Unless something heavy got under their skin. Oh, Commonwealth wanna pretend she was calm. Man, miss me with that. Michelle watched the whole routine glitch like a mind buffering, trying to process a fact. She only brought in 2 bags, but the trunk was full. If everything normal, why she moving like she stuck in the low? Why leave the rest in the car? Why freeze up mid-task? Why step back out and smoke like she needed time to unmask? That ain't I just got home.
There's something weighing on me.
It's my spirit ain't settled. That somebody or something been playing on me. She smoked the whole cigarette, not a drag, not a taste. The whole thing, like she tryna calm a storm. She ain't ready to face.
In a world made of shadows, where the truth feels far away, you find yourself behind bars for a price you didn't pay. You go to prison, fight your case with every breath you take, standing on your truth in the face of all this heartbreak. I didn't do this, you shout, but they turn their heads away, ignoring echoes of your innocence. You face another day. And what does the parole board say? Drowning in that protocol. You show no remorse, you're not fitting the role at all. How you gonna take responsibility for a storm you didn't cause? Like blaming someone for the rain just because they were outdoors. The system don't care about your truth, they care about compliance. Confess to a crime uncommitted, that's your only guidance. It's a trapdoor either way, no escape from their design. Parole board wants confessions, not a hint, a reason, nor a sign. Not seeking justice, but looking for neat boxes checked, as they mold a simple story, leaving your truth wrecked.
What is going on, everybody? Happy Father's Day. Come on in, wipe your feet, smash that like button if you really rock with this platform. Go ahead and grab their memberships today, man. You know, rocking with the memberships on the weekends. You know, but today, man, we're celebrating the fathers, you know. But we also have to acknowledge, you know, the fathers who aren't here. The fathers who should be home with their kids. You know, the fathers who are locked down. The fathers who should be grilling in the backyard. The fathers who should be getting those handmade cards and, you know, crooked little drawings, but instead they're sitting in a cell, wrongfully convicted, forgotten by the system, erased by the headlines. And I want you to think about this for a second, because how many men across this country are sitting in prisons right now for something that they didn't even do? How many fathers, grandfathers, sons, brothers, wives, mothers, sisters, how many lives are put on pause or completely stolen like Eddie O'Brien? Because the system needed a quick conviction instead of the truth. I think some of these men and women that have been there for decades, like Eddie O'Brien, like Eddie Wright, you know, and a lot of them other men and so many others that we're gonna probably talk about today, you know. Some have lost their youth. You know, some have lost their families. You know, parents died while in there. You know, some have lost hope. And once hope is gone, what do you have left? And the worst part, right? Most of them, they don't even have a voice. They're not fortunate like Eddie O'Brien is. Eddie O'Brien's very, very fortunate. Very fortunate. Has a family, has hundreds of supporters. There's some men that don't even have a voice. No platform. No spotlight. Nobody to fight for them. Just silence and time. So maybe we should dedicate this platform to helping those men that families feel that their children were wrongfully convicted. You know, do something so it has meaning. Create a platform so it has a meaning to do it. So when you put on this camera, right, when you put on this microphone, when you're speaking into it, you feel like you're doing something. You know, you feel like you're doing good. You know, and 8 years. You know, I've been probably longer than 8 years. I think I've seen something today from 2018. Excellent. You know, we created this platform, me and my wife, and you know, she was right by my side every step along the way. Times that I wanted to quit, you know, times that it just got like, oh man, you know, you got to catch that wave. And sometimes you don't know what your niche actually is. But the question I keep asking myself, not to get off subject, I want to get back on to the wrongfully convicted. You know, why can't we be the vehicle that helps these men and women that are wrongfully convicted? Why can't we be their speaker and their amplifier? Why can't we be a platform that shines the light on these cases? Why can't we be the ones who say, nah, we're not going to let this story die in the dock. We're going to speak up for that person. We've already seen what happens when we come together. We've already seen what happens, right, when we apply pressure, right? We already seen what happens when we refuse. When we say absolutely no way. We're not going to let the truth get buried. So today on Father's Day, while we honor the good men, the present men, the strong men, we also have to honor the men who never got the chance to be fathers the way that they should have been. And I think if you want to support what we're doing, you know, the documents, the interviews, the breakdowns, the FOIA request, you know, the platform that keeps these stories alive, hit the like button, become a member, become part of the movement, you know, become part of the fight, you know, because there's many men out there like Eddie O'Brien that don't have a voice. Eddie is very fortunate. He has a loving family. He has great friends. He has people that'll scream for free Eddie. You know, because this isn't just a stream, right? It's a mission, right? And today we have to dedicate it to the fathers who deserve that freedom. Let's get it. We'll be right back. Oh yeah, let's go. Happy Father's Day, everybody, man. Happy Father's Day, Patricia White. Happy Father's Day, Joseph. What's up, man? Law Talk is in the house. Robert Marabella, what's up, Robert, man? How you doing?
Where the truth fades away in shadows of doubt, where they make you pay. You go to prison, fight your case, stand tall on the truth in this desolate place. I didn't do this to scream to the skies, but all they hear is the echo of lies. As the parole board asked for remorse, you see, how can you apologize for something not done? Chained in a cycle that leaves you undone. You want a confession for what I didn't do. It's a trap door, baby, a noose that's drawn for you. Turning truth into just a liability. Your integrity's a curse in this dark reality. Show responsibility, they demand without a care. But the justice is a game that's rigged somewhere. 20 years in, and the clock just spins, still saying I didn't do that. In a world made of shadows, where the truth feels far away, you find yourself behind bars for a price you didn't pay. You go to prison, fight your case with every breath you take, standing on your truth in the face of all this heartbreak. I didn't do this, you shout, but they turn their heads away, ignoring echoes of your innocence. You face another day. And what does the parole board say? Drowning in the protocol. You show no remorse, you're not fitting the role at all. How you gonna take responsibility for a storm you didn't cause? Like blaming someone for the rain just because they were outdoors. The system don't care about your truth, they care about compliance. Confess to a crime uncommitted, that's your only guidance. It's a trapdoor either way, no escape from their design. Parole board wants confessions, not a hint of reason or a sign. Not seeking justice, but looking for neat boxes checked as they mold a simple story, leaving your truth wrecked. 20 years in, you still stand tall, saying I didn't do this. They don't celebrate your honesty. It's lost in all the myths. How you gonna take responsibility for a storm you didn't cause? Like blaming someone for the rain just because they were outdoors. The system don't care about your truth, they care about compliance. Confess to a crime uncommitted. That's your only guidance. This ain't rehabilitation. Oh, it's coercion without it. How can a man find freedom when guilt is where they pretend? Reality's cruel and innocence turns to liability. Still holding on to truth, you fight for clarity. So here's to the dreamers behind steel and stone. Your truth is still your own. You're never alone. The system needs to change. Real remorse it must define. Innocence is not your fault. It's their dark design. You deserve a path home too. Every day holds on to hope. Let the truth be your compass, helping you to cope. Shadows dance in the neon glow. Tales of fear on the evening show. They needed a monster for the 5 o'clock news. A 15-year-old boy they could easily use. They threw his clean clothes in a bloodstained car and locked up a peacemaker behind iron bars. They call him a predator to hide their own lies, but we see the truth when we look in his eyes. A loyal young soul, so gentle and polite. We're standing together to finish this fight. Unchain the gentle giant, let a good soul breathe. Free Eddie the Teddy, it's time he's released. Break down the courtroom walls, let the truth ring clear. Bring our selfless boy home in the 30-year tear. They hid all the palm prints, the DNA strands, put a lifetime of blame on a child's scarred hands. But the science is speaking, the silence is broke. We're tearing the fabric of the web that they spoke. He's grateful and compassionate, steady and true. An innocent man wearing prison cell blue. The system can bend, but it's breaking today. We won't stop shouting till he walks away. Unchain the gentle giant. Tired of their stories, tired of the pain. We rise up together, we'll dance in the rain. He's our gentle giant, our shining star. We'll fight till the end, we'll carry him Unchain the gentle giant, let a good soul breathe. Free Eddie the Teddy, it's time he's released. Break down the courtroom walls, let the truth ring clear. Bring our selfless boy home in the 30-year tear. As the lights dim, we're the
All right, man. We back. We back. We are back. Let me get situated here. What's going on, everybody? How are we doing, man? Happy Father's Day to everybody. You know, hope you're having a good day. Big shout out to Law Talkers for the gifted Can We Keep It Real podcast membership. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody in the chat holding us down. Shout out to Mama O'Brien. How you doing on this beautiful, beautiful day? But today I found a video, and the video talks about, some of these cases, some of these lives stolen, families shattered, people that should have never happened. But you need to understand these ain't isolated incidents. They're not rare mistakes. They're not patterns of rushed investigations. Well, they are patterns of rushed investigations, absolutely are. So let me get this video up here on the stage, and I want to react to this a little bit. Here we go. You just got to put a bigger screen on. There we go. All right, let's get into this.
A terrible miscarriage of justice when the criminal justice system accuses or convicts someone of a crime they did not commit. Anyone who has been falsely accused of doing something they are certain they did not do will recognize the extreme frustration that results from it. So in this video, we are going to talk about the top 10 people who were wrongly convicted. Make sure to watch the video till the end, and if you are new to the channel, subscribe to the channel Viral Data and hit the bell icon. Hence, you will not miss any future videos on the channel. 10. Randall Dale Adams. Randall Dale Adams, the first person on our list, was found guilty of killing a Dallas police officer in 1976. However, the police officer was actually shot by a friend of David Harris when the officer stopped Harris for driving a stolen vehicle. Adams was not in the car at the time of the shooting, but Harris insisted that Adams had shot the officer. In the documentary, which also included Harris' later confession, the prosecutor in the case is described as having withheld evidence. Due to a technicality, Adams was never compensated for his sentence after being released in 1989. Number 9. Arthur Allen Thomas. Arthur Allen Thomas, a farmer from New Zealand, who served time in prison due to planting evidence and framing suspects. In 1971, police helped to lead his conviction for 2 murders which he did not commit. Jeanette and Harvey Crew, a married...
I think this is the guy that they planted a bullet in the victim's garden, and they tried to pin it on a farmer, if I'm not mistaken.
couple from Waikato, New Zealand, had been murdered there. The police had hidden a bullet from Thomas's rifle in the couple's garden.
Yep, they hid the bullet in the friggin' garden.
It was later discovered. Thomas actually received 2 convictions for the same offense after losing an appeal. Finally, a royal commission exposed the questionable tactics used by the police during the investigation, including, according to Thomas, using information he provided to them against him. Although Thomas has been out of prison for more than 3 decades, his family is still looking for justice by filing claims against the at-fault police officers. That's obviously not really possible at this point, because the two men who created the false evidence are both deceased. Number 8. Stephen Avery. When Stephen Avery
Oh, this guy, Stephen Avery. I mean, this is where they doubled down. Before Netflix, they did a Netflix special on this guy, right? He was already livid a friggin' nightmare. Wrongful convicted of sexual assault in 85. 18 years gone, right? DNA clears him back in 2003. He sues for $36 million, right? And suddenly, this guy's arrested again for another body before the lawsuit can even finish. And I think this case was in Wisconsin. And if I'm not mistaken, Wisconsin used this case to change the law and put a $25,000 cap on wrongful convictions. Then, your boy is good.
was arrested in 1985 for the brutal sexual assault of Penny Bjornson. He had already served time in prison for burglary and animal cruelty. No one would have described Stephen Avery as an upright citizen. Avery ultimately received an 18-year sentence for that offense, but was freed in 2003 thanks to DNA evidence. Avery also sued those he found accountable for $36 million as a result of this case, which prompted the Wisconsin state legislature to pass a law to help prevent erroneous convictions. Unfortunately, Avery was arrested for the murder of photographer Teresa Halbach before that lawsuit could be resolved. This crime served as the inspiration for the contentious Netflix documentary, Making a Murderer, which debuted in 2015. Avery insists once more that he is innocent. Number 7. Dewey Bozzella. Bozzella was detained in 1977 on
They said this guy killed like some lady that was like a 92-year-old woman, but they ended up dropping the case. Then magically, they refilled it based on a jailhouse snitch looking for a deal. He served like 26 years, right? This dude was denied parole because he refused to confess to something he didn't do. I mean, after that long in jail, and they say, hey, we'll give you parole, but you got to confess. Ain't that crazy? The parole trap. Eventually exonerated, but it was already a wrap for this dude.
suspicion of killing a 92-year-old woman, but the case was later dropped for want of proof. The former boxer was later detained again in 1983 and charged with the murder thanks to information from 2 ex-convicts. Unfortunately, the inmates made up the facts to get out of jail. Bozzella, who adamantly maintained his innocence, served 26 years. Despite being a model prisoner, he was actually denied parole because he refused to admit to killing the person. In the end, more information came to light proving his innocence, and he was set free. Number 6. The West Memphis Three. National attention was focused on the brutal 1993 murder of 3 8-year-old boys in Arkansas. It was implied that the 3 teenage boys who were arrested for the crime carried out the heinous deeds as part of a satanic ritual. Jason Baldwin, Jesse Miskelly Jr., and Damian Eccles were later put on trial and found guilty. But there were numerous issues with the case. A significant witness withdrew her testimony. The crime scene was not properly secured, the coroner's work was poor, and there was evidence of improper jury communications. The 3 convicted men were freed in 2011 following the release of several documentaries about the case. Number 5. Daryl Hunt. Another person who was falsely convicted is Daryl Hunt. In 1984, Deborah Sykes, a white woman, was raped and killed in North Carolina by Daryl Hunt, a 19-year-old African American. Based on the testimony of the witnesses, a white-only jury reached this conclusion. There was no tangible proof connecting Hunt to the incident. Hunt has exonerated of the rape charges in 1994 thanks to DNA evidence, but he spent another 9 to 10 years behind bars. Finally, the perpetrator of the rape and murder of Deborah Sykes came
It's crazy how this happens way more than we realize it. You know, Daryl Hunt, he was only 19 years old, an all white jury, you know, but DNA ended up clearing him, but he still spends, you know, another decade in the joint, you know, while the real killer eventually confesses and Daryl ends up becoming a voice for justice until he ends up passing away, I think, in 2016.
Forward and admitted his guilt. Before tragically taking his own life in 2016, Hunt had since developed into a potent spokesperson for the need for more thorough and accurate justice systems.
He gets so depressed. You know, I wonder what made him take his own life.
Number 4. Reuben Carter. Then Reuben
They made a movie about him. Remember Denzel Washington, I think, played the movie Reuben Hurricane Carter. You know, back in like 1960, convicted of triple homicide of a flimsy evidence. And witnesses later ended up changing their story, and then a judge finally overturns his conviction.
Carter, a boxer known by the stage name Hurricane, made famous by Bob Dylan's songs, served 20 years in prison for a triple homicide that occurred in a New Jersey bar in 1966. Carter and a friend appeared to have committed the crime, according to circumstantial evidence, but the case was dubious. The physical evidence and the accounts of the witnesses, who claimed Carter was somewhere else when the murder occurred, were inconsistent. Later, 2 crucial Carter accusers changed their testimonies. Finally, in 1985, a judge freed Carter after finding that the prosecution had handled the case in a racist and covert manner. Number 2. Dr. Sam Shepard. A famous story of a successful doctor who was convicted of killing his wife, despite repeatedly claiming innocence, that he had assaulted the man in his home the night of the murder. Later, he is exonerated of the murder. The reason it may sound familiar to you is that it is the premise of the television program and motion picture The Fugitive. It's also exactly what happened to Dr. Sam Shepard, the real-life model for Richard Kimball's fictional persona. Shepard was found guilty in 1954, despite evidence supporting his claim that he didn't commit the crime. Reports claim that the investigating
Harrison Ford played the part in that movie, The Fugitive. Dr. Sam Shepard. They ignored signs of the sexual assault, blood evidence that don't match. Anyone in the home sound familiar? Did they convict them anyway? Sound familiar? I mean, it really probably destroyed this friggin' dude.
police completely disregarded some pretty obvious indicators of a sexual assault, mainly because they thought Shepard was the murderer, and the presence of rape-related indicators did not seem to fit with that theory. Additionally, blood that did not belong to Shepard, his wife, or their children was discovered in the house. Shepard was ultimately found not guilty in 1966, but the ordeal had left him emotionally and financially nearly destroyed. He passed away 4 years later from liver disease. Number 1. Jerry Conlon. Lastly, in 1974, the Guildford Four's conviction rekindled interest in the British-Irish conflict. 3 Irishmen, including Jerry Conlon, were found guilty of bombing a pub in Guildford, England, along with an English woman. In addition, Conlon's father and other family members were wrongfully imprisoned for participating in the scheme. Conlon insisted that he had been coerced into a confession through torture. Later, when it was also discovered that the police had withheld crucial evidence, this was confirmed. Conlon, who had been wrongfully imprisoned, was freed after 14 years. In the Name of the Father, a film starring Daniel Day-Lewis, his story was dramatized. That's all for today's video.
You know what? These cases, they're not rare. I mean, they're symptoms of a system that just rewards convictions, not truth. This was a glimpse at just 10 cases over the time of decades, just to show you that this has been going on for a long friggin' time. This is nothing new, you know, and I think if we don't talk about it, right, if we don't shine a light on it, we don't, put that shit in a pressure cooker, then probably more people, more fathers, more sons, more families will get swallowed up, right? You know, hit the like button, hit that join button, support the work. You know, this platform, it's our mission. It's about making sure the next innocent person doesn't lose the next 30 years of their life. Like Eddie O'Brien. Rule 30 coming up. That's pretty exciting. It's already the 21st of the month. There's only like 9-10 days left in the month, so we are getting close for that Rule 30, man. Let's keep it real, right? We keep it loud, keep it going. Happy Father's Day, everybody. Don't go nowhere because we're gonna talk some Eddie O'Brien. When we come back.
He was meant for healing, not this dark fate, but the court
out the gate. Eddie's story is a lesson, not just for today. A reminder to listen, to show a better way. When the voices of the many are ignored with disdain, we've lost the battle and it's all in vain. Let the echoes of the experts ring loud and clear. For every Eddie standing there, we cannot disappear.
Alrighty then, man. How we doing on this great Father's Day, man? How is everybody out there in the chat doing? You know, can we put some shamrocks out there for Big Ed, man? Happy Father's Day, man. Big Ed, man. What is going on, Big Ed? You know, what's going on, JoJo, man? What's going on to all the dads out there holding it down? Happy Father's Day, man. To all the grandpas out there at the soccer games yesterday, happy Father's Day, man. You know, talking a little bit Rule 30. You know, if we would just freestyle this one. You know, let me see, where is it? Let's bring this onto the stream. All right, now I gotta take this down. Think it's easy doing all this stuff? You think it's easy? Oh, see, it fails. I didn't even do it right, goddamn it. All right, let's try it again. Here we go. Bang, boom. Look at that. Magic. You know? So, no speculation, no rumors. We know Eddie's going to be filing a Rule 30 motion, right, the end of this month. What's going to be in that motion? Well, what I can tell you is going to be in the motion. Can't tell you everything, right? I could tell you a little bit. You know, can't tell you everything, but can tell you a little bit. Because a lot of stuff I'm telling you, you know, it's no secret. It's straight from the case files, you know, the DNA reports, the notes, right? The affidavits that were kept out of the courtroom. Now, when you hear what was withheld, what that crooked ass, what did Mama O'Brien call him? The little evil man. What did that crooked ass little evil man? Boy, man, what did you withhold? What did you ignore? And what did you just make up? I mean, this guy, I mean, maybe you'll understand, right, why this motion isn't just a legal filing, man. This should be a reckoning. 30 years. When you see the bullshit, you know, that they convicted Eddie on, the DNA that they hid, that they lie, the lie that they have told, right? Let's start with the evidence the jury never got to understand. Now, let me see if I got it here. Okay, I'm just making sure you with me. You with me, you know, so I could let me cook, as they say, right? Let me cook. So these items, right, were tested by a company called Cellmark Diagnostic, right? A metal piece believed to be part of a knife hilt right? Janet Downing's right hand fingernail clippings, her left hand fingernail clippings, and here's the bomb diggity. None of those samples matched Eddie, not one. Should I put her in a banner for the people in the back of the room that maybe can't hear but they could read? Not one matched Eddie. Here we go. We'll let that shit scroll right across the top. Now, one of those samples matched Eddie, not one. On the metal piece, right? The TPOX column, right? It's going to show a 12. See, Eddie, he was an 8 and a 9. Janet would be a 8 and 11. So where did the 12 come from? It comes from someone else, right? But instead of District Attorney Tom Riley admitting that, right, he tells the jury that the 12 came from Eddie by pulling a number from a different DNA column totally, which you can't do. I mean, that is basically scientific impossibility. You just can't do it. That's not a mistake. How did Bob George not pick up on that one? But I'm not surprised because Bob George, like Paul Downing, was getting shit over on Bob George. But now if you read into this stuff, it'll tell you like the samples shown X and Y, meaning as the secondary contributor was a male, right? So wasn't Janet, wasn't Eddie, it was actually somebody else, right? Now talk about the fingernail clippings. The fingernail clippings, holy shit. Same story, right? It don't match Eddie O'Brien. It matches somebody, but the fingernail clippings show a male contributor who is not Eddie O'Brien. So, who was bouncing Janet's head wall to wall in that house? Whose DNA is under them fingernails? Why did Tom Riley not want to test the other samples? That's what this comes down to. For those of y'all that thought Eddie was guilty, how? Just listen what I'm telling you. Don't listen to the propaganda. Well, he was guilty. He was convicted on fear. Think about this. Under Janet's fingernails, it don't match Eddie. It does show it's a male, but it's not Eddie. And this is all coming up in another 9 days. I mean, this is the kind of evidence, right, that should have been front and center at the trial. But instead, it was buried. It was buried until about, a few weeks before jury selection. Says in these affidavits, both witnesses stated they heard banging noises on the stairwell. At 8:20 p.m., I was on the porch of my family's house with several people. D.A. Riley knew that the stairwell was where the initial attack took place, refused to speak to the witnesses, and refused to acknowledge any of these at any hearings. This is Eddie speaking. Reverse profile. This is what I said if you watch another stream. A reverse profile is basically they find out what they want to do and then they find the person. They mold the person to fit the crime. One of the major issues that D.A. Riley attempted to magnify, right, was the profile of the murderer, right, of Janet. He created a profile of somebody who could not be treated and rehabilitated. We have several questions with his work on these issues, and below are just some of the materials we found that will support the additional evidence we have that will go towards a prosecutorial misconduct claim. So in one DA, Riley writes a list for need, and in the end of the list, he writes reverse profile it, working back. This shows that he was not creating a profile of Eddie O'Brien, but a profile that he created and attempted to fill with whatever information he could find. Now let's talk about the location of the attack. Riley's own handwritten notes, the ones nobody saw until around COVID time. They say the same thing in at least 3 places. Initial attack, stairwell, not in the dining room, not the living room, the stairwell. And guess what? 2 witnesses living on the other side of the duplex heard banging on the stairwell at 8:20 p.m. Heard Janet Downing's head being banged from stair to stair to stair. Where was Eddie O'Brien at 8:20 p.m.? He was on his family's porch with multiple witnesses. With multiple witnesses. Now, Paul is also giving testimony about 8:20, isn't he? But Eddie, multiple witnesses see him on his porch, right? Riley had those affidavits in 1995, but he didn't want to speak to the witnesses. He didn't want to acknowledge the stairwell. You know, he didn't want to let the jury hear any of it. He didn't want to hear it. Whatever. Because if the attack started at 8:20, right, their whole timeline collapses. Their whole timeline is no freaking good. Gonzo, get it out of here. You know, get it out of here. Now, in Section B, Dr. Condi was D.A. Riley's expert witness at the transfer hearing. We have come to find out through the notes that Condi was more than an evaluator, but an agent of Riley's, which is unethical. In one note with Condi, Riley writes, If you can't get at fact, go about it hypothetically. How dirty, huh? Hang on, I just want to. I want to take what Riley said and put that in the damn banner. Now that's streaming at the bottom of the screen. But imagine that Riley didn't build a profile from evidence, right? Are you following what I'm putting down? Are you all paying attention? He built the profile first. And then he tried to cram Eddie into his profile. And how do we know that? Because in his own notes, he wrote reverse profile it, working back. That's not profiling, that's targeting. And then there's the Dr. Condi situation. This dude, right? The Commonwealth's expert, right? Expect the notes show he wasn't just an evaluator, he was acting like an agent for Riley. Riley wrote, if you can't get at fact, go about it hypothetically. It's right here. If you can't get at fact, go about it hypothetically. He's telling the evaluator. And that's exactly what he did. He asked witness questions, then started with assuming that, not based on evidence, not based on, let's make believe, hypotheticals, let's pretend. And then there's the most telling note of all, right? The one with a star next to it. Find the dirt and blow it out of proportion. Find the dirt and blow it out of proportion. That's not prosecution. Come on now, that's some friggin' character assassination, but it worked. But it worked. Because they're exaggerated friggin' dirt, right? Points where they use this shit to justify transferring Eddie, right, from juvenile court to adult court. And I just want to show the people, like, what they really did to Eddie O'Brien. And I know people don't want to believe it, but we got to stand by Eddie. I get some FOIA requests I'm going to put in for. Not sure how much that's gonna be, but get some records. But look, the neighbor who heard the two males, right? Let's talk about that. Here we go. David Lee heard a voice in the street at around 9:30, 9:45 p.m. on the night of July 23rd, 1995. He thought it was two males saying something like, "What are you doing here? Get the hell out of here." Some seem to think that it was one of the Downing twins talking to Uncle Adi. Who knows? But finally, let's talk about David Lee, one of the neighbors. What was it? 9:30, 9:45. He heard two voices outside, two, saying, "What are you still doing here, bro? You got to get the hell out of here." What does that sound like is going on? Yeah, absolutely. Free Eddie. Well, plus you had no expert, right, to counter it. The jury had no clue about DNA profiling or anything else. They really had to pay attention to, and juries are not really that sharp. What was it? That Larry Foreman? He said most jurors barely have a high school diploma. So yeah, so when you hear someone yell, "What are you doing here? Get the hell out of here!" Two males, it's not Eddie, not the timeline, that the Commonwealth, the state, whatever you want to call him, Tom Riley, that they sold, not the lone wolf narrative that they ended up pushing. This is the kind of shit that widens the suspect pool. And them other people in there should have been in that suspect pool. They should have been testing their blood. Reasonable doubt all over this shit. This is that kind of testimony that juries are supposed to hear. But they didn't get a chance to hear this. They didn't even get a chance to hear it. I don't go nowhere. If you support the program, give some memberships. We appreciate it. Hit up the
Not promote or promotion any illegal activities. All content provided by this channel is meant only for educational purpose only.
They said it was fear, reopening the doors, filled with whispers behind closed floors. A white boy convicted made it look fair, but in the shadow of justice, the truth laid bare. Eddie was a name, but just a pawn in the game, sacrificed and railroaded. Nothing felt the same. Oh, just a boy from Somerville. They played with his life as if it was a thrill. Politics and pressure, shadows at play, innocent hearts lost in this twisted ballet. Barnum was under pressure, he folded like glass. The DA showboating, just trying to amass. The system wanted justice, but justice was blind, changing the laws, leaving truth far behind. Remove the judge who dared to be just. Eddie was demonized in the world's cruel thrust. Size mattered not when politics run deep. From day one he fought, but all they did was sweep. Oh, just a boy from Somerville. They played with his life as if it was a thrill. Politics and pressure, shadows at play, innocent hearts lost in this twisted ballet. And those inside knew the story was wrong. We could have done better, sang the old wrong song. Experts pressure to twist the truth, arm in the court of despair. There was no charm, he never stood a chance. From the very start, a tragic confession, a broken heart. Watch Eddie's face when the world turned cold. An innocent spirit caught in a tale retold. The system failed him, that much is clear. A boy from Somerville, lost in his fear. Yet in the ashes, his story remains of the justice betrayed and the bitter pains. Through the lens of history, we sing his plight. Remember the boy who stood up to the night. Just a boy from Somerville. They played with his life as if it was a thrill. Politics and pressure, shadows at play, innocent hearts lost in this twisted ballet. So let's tell this story, raise voices, unite. For every Eddie, let's stand up and fight. Just a boy from Somerville, forever we'll stand in the hearts of the people. His truth in our hands.
I have something else for us now. See, some of this stuff I went over already, but it's okay to go back over it. We'll break this down, so we can maybe explain it to some people. Maybe some people weren't here when I did it last time, but we're gonna ground everything down in this document that I'm uploading. So let me see if I can get this up on the screen. Happy Father's Day, everybody. If you support the channel, man, give some memberships, hit the super chat. Oh yeah, that also, that's something that we still needed to touch base on. When of course you have a juror that knows and worked. Was it junior or senior he worked with? I thought he worked with the father. But you're absolutely right. Yeah, the father, okay. Yeah, leave your DNA on that damn like button. Have a great day, Robert, man. I hope you feel better. I'm probably way behind, guys, in the chat. I'm busy trying to break this shit down. All right, let me get this screen out of here. There we are. I don't think that one's it. Oh, yeah, here we go. Okay, this is from Mary Kate McGilray. Items of evidence were received for analysis for the above referenced case. Polymerase chain reaction PCR testing was performed on the item listed below by receipt date September 6, 86. Threaded label, metal piece on the third stair. Fingernail label, clip in right hand. Fingernail label, clip in left hand. DNA was isolated from the right hand fingernail clipping and from the left hand fingernail clipping. DNA from these items and DNA previously extracted from the thread label metal piece on the third stair was amplified using a PCR. And type for the short. Tandem repeat the STR. Hamza and the O1 for gender XY using the gen print multiplex system and the gen print the sex determination system. So the Selmack report literally says that Eddie O'Brien is excluded as the primary source of the DNA obtained. Right? Meaning the DNA on the metal piece and under her nails is not his. The metal piece had a 12 in the T-Pox column. Eddie is an 8 and 9 in that column. Janet is an 8 and 11. So who is a 12? Not Eddie, not Janet. You find whoever the 12 is, you find your killer. Look, there's 12 under Janet Downing, 12 under the left hand, 12 under the right hand, 12 on the third stair, 12 in the T-Pox column. There's 12s everywhere. So in addition to the type listed, faint results were obtained. These results may be due to the presence of DNA from more than one individual or to technical artifacts. So who is the 12? I mean, there's DNA from more than one person, and the sample shows an X and a Y, meaning a male who is not Eddie left his DNA. So, but the DA told the jury Eddie's 12 from a different column magically hopped over in the T-Pox column. Which, how do you do that? But when you got no experts to challenge you, you're a little screwed. I mean, banging noises down the stairs at 8:20 p.m. And Eddie says at 8:20 he was on his porch with several people, and they all could account for Eddie on his porch. So the attack starts at 8:20. Eddie's on his porch, but somehow the DA wants you to believe that Eddie teleported like a friggin' nightcrawler from X-Men. And the DA's own handwritten notes, the ones he never shared, says the attack started in the stairwell. But he ignored that because it didn't fit the story he wanted. And then what's he do? He reverse profiles the whole 9. There's something else to break down for you. All right, keep that up there. Thank you for the gifted membership. Really appreciate that. Appreciate everyone that hits the like button. Definitely hit the like button on your way out. Appreciate that. So this right here, right? The DNA, they hoped you never wanted to read this, right? So we broke this down too. This is the Selmach report from July 25th. Let me see if I can put it up on the biggie screen. There we go. This is the Selmach report from July 25th, right, that the Commonwealth waved around like it was proving something. You know, put it in your face, kind of like they did in Training Day with the friggin' Chinese menu, like it was a warrant. But what this chart actually says, right? The metal piece from the third stair, Janet's right hand nail, Janet's left hand nail, Janet herself, and Eddie. And the chart shows in plain English that the samples from the crime scene have and has things that Eddie does not have. DNA from more than one person was obtained. The primary source is female, a secondary source is male. Eddie O'Brien at this point is excluded as the primary source. So, who is the primary source? Why did you not test the other people? You got their blood? You got their blood? Eddie O'Brien's excluded, but that don't work for you? The DNA under her nails, right? And on the metal piece is not Eddie's. Not maybe, not kind of. Maybe if you squint, no, excluded. Nada. So now here's, I think, where it gets a little bit fun, right? The samples from the stair and the nails, right, all show an XY, which means it's a man, right? It's a man contributed DNA, right? But the alias don't match Eddie, right? So let me say that again slowly. There is a male DNA. The male is not Eddie. You know, the male is not Janet. The male is somebody else. But instead of saying, hey, maybe we should figure out who this mystery man is, no. The Commonwealth says, nah, must be Eddie. Science is optional. Since when is science friggin' optional, stupid? I mean, this is the magic trick, right, that Riley tried to pull. Now, remember how the DA told the jury, right, that the 12 in the T-Pox column came from Eddie. And you can see it up there on the screen, the T-Pox column where you got the 12. A nice trick. Nice. Cute. Very, very cute. Except if George should have seen this shit, right? Eddie is 8 and 9 in T-Pox. Is he not? What are the samples? No, what are the samples? Forget it, I'll tell you. They're 8, right? 8, 9, 11, and 12. 8, 9, 11, and 12. Right? 8, 9, 11, and 12 are your samples. Right? So the report warns, right, that it's faint result, right? So maybe due to the presence of DNA from more than one person. Now, what does that mean? That there's extra DNA in there that doesn't belong to Eddie and it doesn't belong to Janet. Do you not do you not let Eddie go? Is that enough evidence to say, all right, you know what? This is screwed up. It's right there, right in front of you. This is no speculation. This isn't my opinion. This is facts. I read this shit up and down 7 ways from some. Look, I know that what I'm saying to y'all is 100% facts. Put it on my grandma's soul. May she roll over in her grave today. My daddy's soul on Father's Day. May he roll over in his grave right now. Eddie is 100% innocent, and I've told you that. Not only I told you that right now, I just proved it to you. I proved it to you. Eddie is innocent. The DA tries to pull a cross column magic trick, right? Taking a 12 from a totally different, right, box, pretending it explains the 12 in the T-Box column. He played everybody for a fool. That's like saying your friggin' what is it? Your zip code explains your blood type. You know, the part that they hoped you wouldn't really understand. Absolutely, one thing after another with corruption. Appreciate it, Aunt G. Thank you. So let me be honest, right? The conclusion section, right, is the part that the Commonwealth prayed, that somebody like me would ever read out loud. Right? Eddie O'Brien is excluded as the primary source. That's what the court should be saying. DNA from more than one person was obtained in this DNA. The primary source is female, a second source is male. Translation for my friends who need flashcards. Janet's DNA equals primary. Unknown male equals secondary. Eddie's not the male. Eddie is excluded. The DA, hoping you never saw this page. And this page alone, right? This one page blows up the prosecution's entire theory, right? Because if Eddie's DNA isn't on the metal piece, right? On the metal piece under her fingernails in the mixed sample, then the Commonwealth story, it's over. It collapses. And the Rule 30 motion is going to say exactly that. And there's a lot more to this motion than I'm showing you. I mean, this isn't a new spin, right? This isn't Eddie's version. This is the Commonwealth's own lab report contradicting the Commonwealth's own trial narrative. I mean, and I know there's going to be some people that still don't get it and don't want to believe it, and you can't be, all, happy with Adi and still screaming free Eddie. Thank you, Ed. I appreciate that, man. That means a lot to me, man. I'm really, I'm proud of this, actually. I'm freaking proud of the way I did this. Because this shows you right here. This shows you that, boom. Nothing else should be said. Nothing else should be said. The report says Janet's DNA. So come on now. All the way from the other side over in Australia. Aunt Brenny Wood. What time is it over there? How many hours ahead of? Oh. But give me a minute and we'll be right back. Don't forget, man, grab some memberships, man. Gift them memberships. Really appreciate that, falling behind. Support the platform. Happy Father's Day, everybody, man. We'll be right back. Don't go nowhere.
Eddie O'Brien, oh what a story to tell. 15 years young, caught in a prison cell. Trapped in the system, ain't that just a shame? For a crime he didn't do, they played him like a game. Pattern so clear, yet nobody sees. Intentional lies blowing in the breeze. Documented truths, but they're buried so deep. Poor kid lost his life while the system's asleep. Free Eddie, free him till it's backward. Guilty on paper, but he never had the hard facts. Let a fool think he won, that's how it goes. Eddie's innocence buried beneath all the woes. The man couldn't keep his own story straight. Taking the kid's future, ain't that real fate? Welcome back, chat got us talking hood-wise. Dark humor and metaphors disguised in the cries. Sir, hypothetically, in a murder case, ain't it funny how a fool runs this rat race? Growth don't happen in the middle of this mess. Step back, breathe, man, just let go of the stress. Free Eddie, free until it's backward. Guilty on paper, but he never had the hard facts. Let a fool think he won, that's how it goes. Eddie's innocence buried beneath all the woes. See, you gotta let the clowns believe they succeeded. You didn't fold a break, you just got what you needed. Took it to the chin, not the heart, you see. Don't let the chaos take space in your melody. You're built different, like a lesson they missed. Teaching them boundaries, couldn't find them on a list. Drowning in a puddle, they dragged you below. But now you let them flounder, cause they reap what they sow. So here's to Eddie, just as long overdue. Fighting for the truth like we all have to do. Step back from the noise, watch him throw a fit. Free Eddie O'Brien, let's never forget this. Eddie O'Brien, oh what a story to tell. Fighting for his life in this unjust hell. Free Eddie, free him till it's backward. Guilty on paper, but he never had the hard facts. Let a fool think he won, that's how it goes. Eddie's innocence buried beneath all the woes.
Take a moment before we dive in.
Let me show some love, you know. Love.
Turn on the stream, feel the energy rise. Shout out to the fam, the ones in the skies. Every comment, every laugh keeps the vibe alive. You're the heartbeat of the chat, yeah we thrive. Pulling up each night, ready to roll. You make this place lit, body and soul. Minds in the back, heavy lifting, they don't play. Keeping it smooth, watching traffic every day. Peacekeepers on alert, holding down the fort. Crew full of love, every stream they support. To the chat, to the crew, yeah we shine bright. Are the backbone of the night, holding us tight. To the members, true believers, making it real. You're the pulse in our heart, let's do the deal. To the chat, to the crew, yeah we shine bright. Are the backbone of the night, holding us tight. To the members, true believers, making it real. You're the pulse in our heart, let's do the deal.
We see you dedicated, going the extra mile. Not just watching you. In the corridors of silence, where shadows tend to dwell, a boy named Eddie lay in wait, for he had stories yet to tell. 15 years, a child adrift, the system cold and stark. Di Riley held a gavel, a hammer, a spark. You're not a kid, he said, not under my command. A hardened heart won't save him, let the law take its stand. But in this world of darkness, where hope had started to fade, Eddie stood defiant through decisions oft mislaid. Innocence caught in the crossfire, in a cage where love should be. A puppet on the strings of fate, lost in what you'd see. Maybe fate's cruel hand helped carve a better path for souls who can't withstand. A voice among the broken, a light to guide the way. From a boy in chains to a whisper of a brighter day. In those iron bars, a heart began to bloom. From a restless spirit rose the song of change midst gloom. Policies were shifted, the tide began to bend. A beacon for the lost Eddie learned how to mend, drawing lines of kindness in a world where hearts turn cold. With stories woven gently, Eddie's courage to unfold. Eddie, oh Eddie, a tale of light and dark, turning pain into purpose, igniting every spark. A voice among the broken, the change in every soul. Fate may have broken you, but you made the world whole. Maybe God knew your struggle, saw the heart beneath the mask, sent you on a mission, a hero in disguise. Amidst the chains of silence, you answer every task. Through the echo of your footsteps, light shall surely rise. In the echoes of a laughter, among stories left untold, Eddie's heart lived on. Through the grace of daring bold, he planted seeds of healing in a garden made of scars. A boy who should have faltered became the light of stars.
Alrighty then, man. What a great excuse me. What a great show it was today. Before we wrap this up, everything we talk about, whether it's the columns of DNA, the contradictions, it didn't come from Eddie. It didn't come from me. It didn't come from some fancy attorney. It didn't come from the O'Briens. I mean, it didn't come from any rumors, from any blogs, or it definitely didn't come from any wise guys' theories. It came from the actual forensic reports, the police reports, the lab reports, the state's conclusions, the Commonwealth's theories, the Commonwealth's conclusions. A report that literally says DNA from more than one person was obtained. That the primary source is female, a secondary source is male, and Eddie O'Brien is excluded. And you convict him, you meatheads? On a life sentence, you convict him? But somehow, some way, right, the story that made it into the courtroom was the exact opposite. How? That's not a mistake. That's not confusion. That's a choice. Choices have consequences, especially when they cost a 15-year-old kid his life. So, today wasn't about any drama, right? It wasn't about entertainment. It's not about picking sides. It's about the truth. The kind that was buried under paperwork, hidden beneath timelines, and twisted into a narrative that never, ever matches the evidence. And if one page, man, one page can unravel this much as this page did that I had on the screen today. Yeah, happy Father's Day, man. Shout out to Freebird in the chat. Thank you. Appreciate it. Free Eddie today. He is innocent. Yes. This was a good one, Freebird. We broke down the DNA again, showing the different columns. It was a good one. Yep, you're going to have to go back and watch it. You know, we start off with a little video of some men that were wrongly convicted. You know, we go into talking about the Rule 30. You know what Eddie's gonna do for a Rule 30. You know, but just imagine what the rest of the Rule 30 motion is going to look like. If I gave you this little piece right here, if I gave you these little nuggets, and I've been dropping these nuggets, it's just there's only certain things that I can say. But I've been dropping little nuggets. You just gotta read between the lines. So as we close out, I want to thank every single one of you who stayed, who listened, who learned, who kept your mind open. You know, this fight isn't about proving a point, right? It's about correcting a wrong. It's about the Commonwealth saying, yo, we got it wrong. You know, but they're not going to say we got it wrong. They're going to be like, all right, it is what it is. We were still right, but you know what? You got over on us. No. No, I didn't get over on you. Not at all. It cost me 30 years of my life. 30 years. What is 30 years of your life worth to you? What would have you lost without the last 30 years in your life? You know, what have you lost? You know, so thing keeps bumping right into my face. So I guess as we close out, I want to thank every single one of you who stayed, who listened. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate all 33 of y'all, you know, and I know there was more overall because you know what? You guys are the 33 ones that matter. You know what I mean? Shout out to everybody that rocks with me. I rock with y'all. You know, shout out to my lovely, great wife. Just holds it down for me. What would I do without her? You know? You know, shout out to everybody in the chat. Shout out to Aunt G. Shout out to Freebird, Freebird, great person, keeps it real. Definitely a die hard for free Eddie. You know, shout out to all the mods. Big shout out to Freebird for the 50 piece. Oh boy, you don't even I need that. I appreciate that. And what else do we have in here? We have one gifted membership. Thank you for the gifted membership. Really appreciate that. You know, and this means a lot to me on this Father's Day right here. Big Ed saying, Mike, you have done a great job breaking down this case, especially the DNA, which nobody can get a grasp on. You know what? I like to frame this. It just, it means a lot because, oh, thank you, Freebird, with the 10 gifted memberships. Shout out to Freebird coming in late and getting them memberships up there. Yeah, we down to 260. We were up to 300. We down to 260. But I appreciate everybody. And trust me, we are nowhere near done. We are nowhere near done. Not at all. We have a lot more that we're going to do. So I want to thank everyone. Remind me, keep your mind open, because this fight isn't about proving a point. We have to correct a wrong. And all right, everybody, happy Father's Day, man. Good night to the people who came in here confused and are leaving here a little more educated. Do you understand the DNA? Are you more convinced that Eddie's innocent? Thank you for keeping it real. Thank you for standing on truth. And thank you for standing with Eddie. Thank you for supporting me and my family, man. We love you, and we'll see you next time. We out.
In a world painted gray, where shadows dance and weep, a boy named Eddie faced storms too heavy to keep. 15 and alone, with the fire burning deep. In the kaleidoscope of wrongs, a heart too brave to sleep. They called him a menace, a child lost in sin. But behind those tired eyes, 100 dreams begin. And Riley stood firm, shaking hands with despair. There's no room for kindness, no chance that he's fair. But Eddie saw the light in a lashed out embrace. Could a heart once trapped mend a system's disgrace? Oh, Eddie, you stood a beacon in the night, rehabilitating souls, igniting wrongs to right, changing words to actions within those heavy walls. Maybe you're the miracle that answers broken calls. Time in a cell taught the lessons of life, how to touch the lost hands amidst grief and strife. Eddie raised his voice, for the silence brought pain. A minister to the broken, he cast away the chain.
Check it, these podcasts rolling in with they lies, using articles, trash and truth, that's their disguise. chaos unfold. Spitting hit pieces, just hustling for gold. Facts in my pocket, I'm spitting the real, while they aim for the clickbait. That's part of the deal. They call it content, but I see the fraud, trying to cash in on the truth like it's they throwing dirt, but I'm rising like a phoenix. Headlines designed just to spread all the meanness, but we use the facts, they use all the lies. Rallies in their pockets can't hide from the sky. Scrolling through the headlines, it's a nasty game. Podcasters mad cause we ain't playing the same. They whining about respect, but I can't be bothered. Your so-called content, man, does it even matter? Pouring hate like it's water filling up my cup. Talking slick behind the mic, but what's up with the luck? I'm here for the truth while they chase the clout. Every word's a shot and there's no room for doubt. They throwing dirt, but I'm rising like a phoenix. Headlines designed just to spread all the meanness, but we use the facts, they use all the lies. Rallies in their pockets can't hide from the skies. Look, it is free every day. That's my mission. Until they feel the pressure from this real coalition. Bottom line, we're rising, we ain't selling our soul while they drown in the hate, trying to take control. I guess however they can make a buck right. Turn the fact into fiction, but we shine the light. These petty players gonna cry when they see the truth is the armor can't mess with me. I'm in the studio, pin file. No time for the fake, dropping heavy knowledge while they shift and they shake. It's a dirty game, they play to win the crowd, but with facts on my side, I'm standing out loud. So hit them with the truth like I'm hammering steel. We ain't playing games, man, it's the real deal. Eddie's back and forth, they can't close the door. These podcasts use the past, but we're here to restore. Check it, bottom line, yeah, the hate is real, but we're here with the facts, so let's make that real. We ain't ever gonna fall. With truth on our side, we stand tall. No more lies, no more lies, no more games. Just the real, peel it back their name. Yeah. In the shadows of a house where the whispers play, the door of the frame holds the secrets of the day. Locked on to Eddie, they whispered his name. Caught in a tempest, a life gone insane. Down in the dark, where the cellar path runs, a set of keys hit the dirt under disappearing suns. A house key, a car key, lost in the rush. But the state swept it up like a hand in the crush. Eddie's freedom cry, can you hear it loud? Breaking through the darkness, piercing the shroud. 30 years in chains, but the truth won't die. Unseal the past, let Eddie rise high. Unseal the notes, expose all the blocks. Rayleigh trapped Eddie in a manufactured box. 30 years of hidden facts buried in the track. It is time to give Eddie O'Brien his freedom back. Unseal the box, break down the lock. Let the truth ring louder than the courthouse clock. 3 decades of silence, a cold prison shell. Refuse to lie, they cast a wicked spell. No remorse in their eyes, they judge from the booth. But Eddie stands tall, anchored in truth. Summer is opening, the science is real. The manufactured box begins to peel. Voices collide as hope takes its stand. With every heartbeat echoes a drowning band. Eddie's freedom cry, can you hear it loud? Breaking through the darkness, piercing the shroud. 30 years in chains, but the truth won't die. Unseal the past, let Eddie rise The drums roll thunder through the halls of despair. With strings and brass, they unite in the air. A symphony of chaos reflects in the night. The fight for Eddie grows bigger, takes flight. Beneath boundless skies, the walls start to shake. Each note of resistance, a wave in the wake. A revolution of honesty will cut through the lies. As the world turns its gaze, a new dawn will rise. So gather the voices who waited too long for Eddie O'Brien. We'll sing out strong. His freedom's a fire, lighting up the gloom. As the massive, triumphant chord brings truth to the room. Now listen closely. Now listen closely. I got a story to tell. I got a story to tell about a world that's spun into a living hell. About a world that's spun into a living hell. In the mid-90s, truth lost its place, while the system turned its back on the human race. All they cared about was filling up the beds. Didn't matter who they grabbed, just fill up the spread. They took the innocent kids, tossed them aside. Evidence was trash, it was a twisted ride. Bodies in the system, just numbers on a page. The system didn't care about the pain or the rage. Now look around, see the streets in despair. Families breaking apart, chaos in the air. Wonder why the youth are lost in the haze. A puppet show of lives caught in a cruel maze. Stand-up dudes taking the order they kept, left the neighborhood shattered, families wept. Addicts in the alleys, shadows of the past. We're stuck in the cycle, feeling outclassed. Why do the corners look like a zombie show? It's by design, we all know it, don't you know? It didn't happen by accident, it was all planned. The system made it happen, they had the upper hand. In the chaos in the night, there's a deeper truth. A kid named Eddie O'Brien, lost in his youth. 15 years strong, thrown thrown in a ruthless game. A machine built to crush, no mercy, just shame. Politics and fear, the media spins their lives. Eddie stood no chance, neath the soulless skies. Now look around, see the streets in despair. Families breaking apart, chaos in the air. Wonder why the youth are lost in the haze. A puppet show of lives caught in a cruel maze. But Eddie's not just a name in a fading light. He's a face of a struggle. He'll put up a fight. With the truth in his heart, he'll rise from the ground. Voices in the shadows, together we're found. So listen closely, the story ain't done. We're reclaiming our truth, we're taking back the sun. For every fallen brother, every shattered dream, we'll rise up together, united as a team. No faith in what could be said. Every expert that came said the same refrain. Eddie wasn't violent, he was fighting through the pain. Not a danger to the world, just a kid with a dream. They taught the wounds and scars like it's part of the theme. But they missed the truth behind the boy standing tall, caught in a system that refused to hear his call. Every single expert, they knew the facts. Non-violent heart, it's not an act. He was meant for healing, not this dark fate. But the court turned blind and sealed up the gate. Had lost control. They looked at a number, not the man within, ignoring all the voices that should have helped him win. The purpose of the hearing was to guide him through, yet they tossed the science like they never knew. Too dangerous, too damaged, oh, that's not who he was. Just a child in a system without a pause. Every single expert, they knew the facts. Non-violent heart, it's not an act. He was meant for healing, not this dark fate. But the court turned blind and sealed up the gate. Oh. They focused on the wounds as if pain could define the essence of a kid who's meant to shine. A constitutional failure right before our eyes, lost in the shuffle where justice dies. America, can you see? Can you open the door to the voices unheard, fighting for more? Every single expert, they knew the facts. Non-violent heart, it's not an act. He was
sealed up the gate. Every story is a lesson, not just for today. A reminder to listen, to show a better way. When the voices of the many are ignored with disdain, we've lost the battle and it's all in vain. Let the echoes of the experts ring loud and clear. For every Eddie standing there, we cannot disappear. Just a boy from Somerville, caught in the storm.